Hi friends, it's Sarah, the owner and maker behind Multifarious Nature. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you are a new viewer, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, a big welcome back. I'm glad you guys are here for another episode, and I hope you are doing well. As far as shop update and things, the shop update end of things, I can't speak. I do have the Suffolk bats in the shop currently, so if you have been waiting to go see those, I want to again apologize that those did go live a little after they were initially anticipated last Friday. So there was a little bit of glitch there, and they did not go active. So they are active now, and they did go active Friday, but it wasn't until about 7 p.m. Eastern. So very sorry about that. But they are in the shop, so if you are if you want to do spinning, hand spinning, anything like that, and well, you could do other fiber arts, I'm sure, as well, but it's definitely prepared for spinning. So it's gone through a drum carder, um, all of them at least 4 times, if not 5, just depending on how much veggie matter was in the wool. There is still a little bit of veggie matter in there, so that's in the information on the listing, just so you're aware. But it has been very processed and it is washed. But there is lanolin in it, so if you do have lanolin sensitivity, just keep that in mind. I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that. So very exciting. I have lots of fun colors currently in the shop. So if you're looking for some new fun colors, you got bit by the spring bug, definitely hop on over to the shop, and there's some really fun ones that would be not only great for garment knitting, but well, I guess socks are technically a garment as well, but like accessories and things like that. So I am currently recording still with my computer. I do want to record with our new camera. I just have to figure out the microphone end of things. That's kind of learning curve, but we will get there, and I will be very excited when that happens because while this is all right of a setup, the new camera actually has a zoom autofocus feature. So if I'm showing you something, it will focus in on it and you'll be able to see it a lot better, I think. So that's really exciting. And yeah, all good things, all good things once I figure it out. First and foremost, we'll talk about my finished object because I'm wearing it. This is my Arctica sweater by the Petite Knitter. And I did do some modifications on this. I guess I'd say they're minor modifications. However, it was fascinating. So I knit according to the pattern. The pattern is from her Arctic Knits book. I don't know if you can buy this pattern separate. I'll see if I can find it. If I can find it on her Ravelry, I'll of course include a link in the notes section below. But this is what it looks like. It's on the cover of her Arctic Knits pattern book, which I highly recommend, you guys. I've only made 2 patterns out of this. I've only worn the one multiple times, like tons of times. It's one of my favorites. It's my alpaca sweater, and this one this is my first time wearing it. It has been washed and blocked. Super comfy. It's oversized. I made the size, I think it's size 2. Let me double check to make sure I'm telling you the full truth here. Ooh, there we go. It is, I'll know when I look at it. I really should have written this down. Sorry. I'm not good about that sometimes. Yeah, I made the size 2, which is a 42-inch circumference, and I'm about 37, so it gave me some decent positive ease, which she definitely recommended, and I really like it. I really like it. And you can see the pictures here. So it has the oversized fit, kind of like she's wearing. However, mine grew, or I don't know if it grew a lot or if it's just the way that I knit it. So that was the thing I discovered. I just have a little bit left of the brown, which that's the crazy part. So the main color, I didn't even think I would have enough to make the sweater. So I actually used Plutolopi, held double on this upper portion, and then the rest is all Let Lopi. And I actually have leftover Let Lopi in that color, the main colorway, which I did not think I would, so that's kind of weird. Um, that also being said, my sleeves are a lot less. They're I think I have at least 3 decreases that I did not do. Now, I have to change the way I said that. So there's so much knitting and then you do decreases on the sleeves. And there's a section you do like so many, and I'm 3 less than the amount on there. And then but what I did is when I got to the last one that it was like a good length, I then did a bunch of decreases on that last round, so that way it's the correct finished circumference of the wrist, if that makes sense. But even that being said, I don't know if you can see here, but I feel like it's looser looking on my arms than and it's the right amount of stitches. So either I was an extremely loose knitter, which is possible, I guess. The thing is that the last one I made, the Arctica, the Alpina sweater, I used oh goodness, alpaca. I used alpaca, merino, nylon wool, and that it was like it fit perfect. It definitely like fit according to the pattern. And so I thought that was really strange. So all I can think of is I just must have been a really loose knitter with this. It's very possible. With all this color work, I do tend to be looser when I do that, primarily because I don't want it to be too tight, the floats. You want the floats to float. So that way you can see the beautiful patterning when everything kind of gets to where it wants to once you block it. Otherwise, if it's really tight, your floats start to tug and pull, and it just doesn't look very nice. It has a really nice loose fit, as you can see. I'm going to back this up here for a second just so you can see it even better. But here we are. So you can see it has a nice big round yoke, and so my armpit's here. So it's nice and baggy, which is really nice. The air can flow nicely through there. I could definitely wear this as a like jacket sweater. Oh dear, getting caught on my knitting here. All right, and you can't see the length, but it actually goes like a lot further than I thought. I wanted to go just an inch or so past. This is the top of my pants, just to give you an idea. So I only wanted to go like an inch or two past that. It would be like, to me, ideal. Bring you in here for a second. That would be the ideal fit for me. And this is great. I still like this, but I didn't think that's what it would look like based on the pattern. So the fact that I have extra wool, which just blows my mind, um, and the length, either she really rounded up a lot with this pattern, which is possible for the yardage, totally possible, just to kind of account for the differences in how people knit. But I was really shocked by that. It's not a bad thing. It's just interesting. So I did try this on while I was knitting it, and I liked the length, but I wanted a little bit more. And then I just kept knitting, and I kept knitting because I thought there's no way it's going to be really long, and it's still not really long. This is a comfy long. Like this is great. It does. So if I'm sitting down like I am right now, it does kind of bunch up on my lap because it goes technically past that bend in my legs, if that makes sense when you sit down. I'm sure that doesn't make any sense, but you know what I mean. Like it's so long that it's bunching up a little bit when I sit down. So like that's not ideal, but it's definitely that oversized. I like the length of the sleeves though. These are that bracelet length. That worked out really well. But yeah, interesting. It was just interesting. I still highly recommend this pattern. It was a lot of fun to knit. I loved the colorwork portion, and then the rest just flew off the needles. They flew off the needles so much. I literally I knit the entire sleeve length, and it was past my hand. It came out to here when I followed the directions, and that was okay. So that's the thing. I learned from my mistake, I guess, but um, I knit the cropped length, so the bracelet length sleeve, and it came to here when I finished all the decreases and the amount of rounds I was supposed to do. So that was crazy. Like these sleeves are huge. So I know I think she has them a little bunched up on her arm. I could see that. But the thing is that's also what I'm saying here. This is not tight. So if it was long, it's not going to bunch at my wrist. It will go over my hand. And that's not very good for someone who does a lot of things with their hands. Between knitting, like I said, dishes, gardening, I like to have that bracelet length. It really allows a lot of versatility. And I am, I guess, kind of abusive with my clothing. I don't want it to be super precious. I want to be able to wear these when I'm out with the sheep and doing things like that. However, if I'm going to be like rolling in the dirt, I probably won't wear one of my sweaters just because I don't want to have to like scrub to get the dirt out. I just think of normal wear and tear of your clothes, right? Like if you're going to get it super dirty, make it cotton that you can just easily wash and it's not a big deal. Anyway, there's my little information about my Arctica sweater. I really enjoyed knitting it, you guys. If you're looking for a fun color work, I definitely recommend it, especially if you're trying to venture into more than two color work. This is my first time doing multi-colored color work at once. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And there was a time where I had at least 4 skeins going at a time. So that was interesting. It got a little chaotic in my bag. I'm not gonna hide that, but it was fun. It was fun. I hope you have something cozy to sip on or cool, depending on where you're at in the world. We are nice and cool here today. Yesterday we were 70 degrees Fahrenheit, so it was very nice, beautiful outside. And today it was snowing and it is 38 degrees Fahrenheit. So full on Michigan weather this past week. We've had summer twice this week and then spring a couple days, and now we're back to winter apparently. I know it's not sticking around, but it's just you never quite know when you should put your knits away. I always keep some of my knits out anyway. I usually have them in my closet folded up so they're like easy to get to no matter what. And in the evenings in Michigan, many times, even in the summer, it can get in the like high 50s at night, which I'm wearing a lightweight sweater. It's kind of like a sweatshirt. That's comfortable. So I really always kind of have access to them, but it's just weird. I don't know. All right. So we're going to get into my works in progress. And because I finished this one, I started working on my half and half triangles wrap. So I was working on this a little bit this week. I actually, full disclaimer, I have not knit as much as I normally knit. This is kind of an interesting foray into what I'll talk to at the end, but I got into reading a lot this week. So I'll talk about that. It's intriguing to me. Anyway, we'll talk about this first. So the half and half triangles wrap is by Pearl Soho. It is a free pattern, and this one I am doing kind of a free form one, so they're not all the same color yarn. So I had a couple skeins of this really fun mixed, like a blended yarn. It has wool in it. It has, I think, a little alpaca, and it's really fascinating. It's a boucle. And now I'm going into my hand-dyed yarn. This is my Winter is Coming colorway. Really pretty speckled colorway. I love it. I actually use this in something, a little sweater I made for one of my friend's babies, and this is the remnant of that I had left over. So I use that in here. And then I'm not quite certain what my next color is going to be, but I feel like I might go into this one. This is a little bit of a colorway from Woolberry Fiber Co., one of her winter box. I think it's last year's winter box. This was in there. It's really pretty. It was either last year or the year before. It might have been the year before. Because I'm trying to remember when I made that sweater. And then I also have this one from Woolberry Fiber Co. And then I have my balsam fir colorway, which is really pretty. It's a deep blue undertones and then a really dark green as well. It's super pretty, and because there's silk in this one, it's super nice and shiny. It's got a nice sheen to it. But it also has a bit of a knot because apparently I neglected it while it was in the bag. That was an absolute fail. I better get that figured out. And like I said before, my other triangle is going to be more of these mauve, not mauve, it's like purpley pink colorways, kind of fuchsia. And these are really beautiful vintage yarns that my mom gave me. It's Tiffany Boucle by Brocco, I think. Yeah, Brocco. And then this is also by Brocco. It's the Digi Digi, and it is a mohair. There we go. I have 2 skeins of that. And they're just really fun. I wanted to do something special with it, and I couldn't quite figure out what to make with it. And I'm thinking, duh, half and half triangles wrap. Perfect. And it'll be really fun because I can use it as a blanket if I want, but I could wear it as well. I really like to use these half and half large triangle wraps. So these are the large. I do the really big size. I love those because they make excellent blankets. And I feel like it's kind of a fun way to have a new blanket for each season kind of thing. So that's really primarily what I worked on this week. I worked on it in the mornings for a touch of time, and then in the evenings, like while we're watching TV after we eat. But you guys, I'm getting sucked into reading, and hilarious. It's not the book that I've been reading. I got distracted, and I can't remember what got me distracted by it. I think it's because, let's see, I think I saw a recommendation based on like books I've read. So I've read only one book by this author, and some of you might know it and you might be very familiar, and some of you are probably going, oh gosh, but some of you might understand. So the author this is a very unique theme for me. I do not tend to gravitate towards fantasy books. And this is a fantasy series, I guess they consider it fantasy. Um, Not, I guess. It is kind of fantasy end of things. You've got fairies and things like that. So it's fantasy. And the first book that I read was actually an audiobook, and I listened to it while I'm getting ready in the morning, basically. For the longest time, it took me a while to get through it, and I had to have multiple renewals from the library. But it was A Court of Thorns and Roses. Some call it Acutar because it's quite a mouthful, A Court of Thorns and Roses. I was late to that train. I finished that book about a month or so ago, and then I just kind of went on to different storylines because I couldn't get my hands on any of the books because they're being checked out by everybody else. And so I just was like, okay, I'll wait until they're available, and didn't think anything of it. Well, there was a recommendation for another book by that author, and the author is Sarah J. Maas. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she, I guess, had done another series prior, I believe it's prior, pretty sure, prior to A Court of Thorns and Roses, and it's called Throne of Glass series, and it's actually like a really big series. It's 8 books, and they're like hunkin' books. They're huge. Most are around 600 plus pages. Like they're all really decent sized books, and so I just I don't know. I thought I started watching the review. Somebody was talking about it, and I was like, wow, okay, this actually sounds kind of interesting. And I guess it's a little less of like the romance heavy end of things that Of Court of Thorns and Roses is. So I was like, well, I'll give it a shot and see what I think. And so I got a sample. Amazon has like the samples where you can read like a little bit for free, basically. And if you like it, then obviously they want you to buy it. And so I got the sample of it, and the sample of not a court, a sample of The Throne of Glass, which is the first book, or I should say the first book she wrote. There's a prequel to that, but the first book that she wrote, and for that series, and it's really good. I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. And I'm not going to give too much away, but it's about an assassin. She's the main character. And my understanding is there's going to be a lot of different characters in this, and it's going to be interesting. And I'm kind of intrigued by it. I'm not going to lie. So I'm not a big fantasy book reader. I do like fantasy movies and things like that, but I just haven't really gotten into fantasy books. And this might be like, I mean, my start was A Court, Thorn and Roses, that first book. So that was kind of my segue into the fantasy realm, but it's very heavy on the romance end of things. And I was like, I don't know, I'm not sure. And then I started reading this and I'm thinking, okay, now I want these books. Um, but my goal is to try to get them from the library, try to get them maybe secondhand, just because, I have to be, I've talked about this in past videos, we're trying to be more budget conscious with everything. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna try to get my hands on those. I really have enjoyed The Throne of Glass so far. And the sample so far has 6 chapters in it, which that's a lot actually for a sample of a book. I'm pretty impressed by that. Either those chapters are extremely short, which is possible. I don't know, but I'm excited. So that's my little mission. Like the next couple times I go to the thrift store, things like that. We also have a used bookstore in town, so I kind of want to check there as well. But yeah, I'm really excited. I like the idea of getting into another series again. I haven't really been deep in a book series in a long time. I think the last time I got heavily, heavily invested in a book series, this will date it. This will explain my, oh boy, because when I was reading this, it was um, when the movies came out. So I read the book series, I think it was the entire book series for Princess Diaries. And so that, like, if that wants to, if I want to date myself when it comes to a series of books that I read, like the whole series, that was that. And that's like, they made a Disney movie on it, Princess Diaries. They made 3 of them. I read the books when the first one came out and loved it, and I read like a bunch of the books. I read all of them, and I really enjoyed it. I think I still have a bunch of them actually. I think I do. They're really good books. I'm tempted to read them again, but I was a teenager when I read them, so I'm thinking, will I enjoy them as much now? Because she was a teenager in the book, and like I feel like you can relate better. I don't know. Um, but the neat part about that Throne of Glass series is, I guess the first couple of books, she was a teenager when she wrote them. I guess the first one, she was 16 years old when she wrote it. And while I can kind of see that based on some of the wording she uses, I'm actually pretty impressed with some of the wording and phrasing she uses. There's some of it I can see it, but others I'm very impressed by it. So I have heard that the first half of books is kind of depending on the person. Some people really like it. Some people, the first couple books, they're like, eh, but they really like the second half of the series, like it, because that she was older when she wrote them. So I think she's in her 30s now. So it's like, yeah, I heard the last couple books are really good in comparison. So I just keep thinking, if I really like the first book, maybe I'm gonna like love the last couple books. Um, yeah, and I think it would be a really good series that if I like it a lot, that if I could own it, that would be great. Would be something that maybe others can read and share it and things like that. So, and yeah, that's that. So that's what I've been reading, and I've been reading that in the evenings. I've been reading that on my lunch. Oh yeah, so that's the thing. I've been knitting on my lunch break, but I've also been reading on my lunch break. So I actually, because the half and half triangles wrap takes practically no focus, I can knit on it while I'm reading. And so the way I make it work, I'm using my Kindle, because when you use the sample from Amazon, it can go onto Kindle. So if you have like a digital reader, um, it can go on there. And so it's perfect because I can prop it on my steering wheel while knitting, and then I just swipe the page while I keep knitting. It works so well. So while I still want to actually get hard copies of the books, actually, I think that is kind of a handy way to read books. I'm not a big Kindle reader per se. I got it because this is a perfect example of where it's pretty handy to have. But and like if I'm exercising and trying to read, which I tried doing that the other day, that did not work well for me at all. I guess I'm just not there yet. But I'd love that because I feel like a Kindle is a good way to exercise and read, because then you can just tap it, to switch pages instead of trying to prop a book and like not drop the book while you're exercising. It just seems really complicated to do. But anyway, there's that. So like life update end of things, I guess that kind of is part of the life update. And then, well, I guess I could talk about the other projects. So I haven't started another project. Usually when I cast something off or bind something off, I start another project. So I actually applied to a test net. I really hesitate to apply to test nets because it just depends on the person. So and how quickly they need it turned around, because yeah. And I did apply to this one. She currently has a couple months for the deadline, and I don't know if I've been accepted or not. I may not be. It's totally fine if I'm not. So we'll see. I'm sure she gets a lot of applicants. She's a pretty big designer when it comes to patterns. But yeah, I applied to that. So we'll see. And I think this weekend I'll know whether I've been picked or not. And if I haven't, then I'll start a new pattern. That's not a big deal. But if I did get picked, then I'll start that pattern. The good and bad of it is that it's a mystery one, like, or not a mystery in the sense that obviously I won't know what I'm knitting, but I'm not allowed to talk about it until she says it's okay. So it's totally fine, but it kind of is tricky because then, I mean, if I'm going to be pretty much monogamously knitting on something, I can't be, because I'll have nothing to talk about in the videos, except for maybe if I dye up or do new bats, things like that. Oh, yeah, speaking of, this is shop update. Wow, I am just all over the place today. Shop update end of things. So I do have another grouping of bats that I'm going to be making, but it's going to be a little delayed. So my wonderful drum carter kind of got on the fritz. I broke it. I mean, let's be honest, that's what happened. And I'm apparently aggressive, and I broke it. And so my husband's currently trying to fix it. So once that gets fixed, then I will get those bats going, because I do want to launch another grouping of bats. My goal was actually to do that this Friday, but that's not, or this past Friday, because this goes live Saturday. Yeah, my goal was to launch them tomorrow, but that's not going to happen because I didn't get to make them. So I have all the wool divided into 100-gram piles, but it's just staring at me and giving me a hard time. But it's not bats at the moment. But they're coming, you guys. They're coming. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Another great reason to make sure that you are a newsletter subscriber, because if you're not yet, definitely make sure you are, so that way you find out about when those are going to be released first, because you do want to be the first on that website if you want to get larger quantities of those bats. Just saying. All right, and then so back up again. So yeah, another project that I could work on is, I have a bunch of lingering projects. I have lingering works in progress that have just been kind of shoved aside, and the hilarious part is that a lot of them are socks. I have a pair of winter socks, which it's a set of it's a sock set that is, I'll show you, that I dyed up during the holidays. It's my Oh Christmas Tree sock set. I love it. So pretty. Oh, I love it. It's like the little twinkle lights on your tree. And then it's got the bark colorway. It's the contrast color. And so it's a pair of socks. It's a very intricate pair of socks. This is the very first sock, and I don't know what it is. I've made the shorter version of this. So this is the Mael Classic sock by Fox and Fig, and I made the shorties, and I love those socks. So I was going to make the longer version. And it is just taking me an eternity. So I put them aside, honestly. That's why it's taking me so long. I put them aside, and they are just in here languishing. Or I should say the one is languishing because I haven't made the other one yet. So yeah, those are just sitting there without their needles because I stole them for a different sock, naturally as it would be. So yeah, that is one I could work on. I just mentally don't think I want to work on Christmas socks. They're not necessarily Christmas socks, but they are. In my mind, they are because I dyed that colorway for Christmas. So I have a couple options, and I think I know which one I'm going to go with. I have 2 socks, so 3 technically, but these are the 2. So one is this was a Advent set colorway, Turkish Delight, which here's why I feel bad about it. I dyed these up, I think, 2 years ago. Is that true? I think it's true. That's pretty sad. So I haven't finished the sock set. This is the first sock. So I'm almost there. I just have to do the ribbing, I think, for this. And then, yeah, and then I will do the second sock for that one. So that is a good option. I should do that. I really should. These look very fall to me, though, but I should work on it. So there's that one. Or there's the spring looking set, which I actually have a finished sock. Oh, this is almost done. So this is one I really should do. So these are the, what do you want to call these? So these are by Andrea Mowry. They look so funny. These socks are hilarious. So they look really funny when they're not on, but when you put them on, so this is the DRK Everyday Socks, if you're wondering what they're called. But then when you put them on, they fit like a glove, and they're really nice. They're really good socks, but they look hilarious when they're not fully on your foot. So I have the first one done. This is one of my sock sets. What is the name of that sock set? It is escaping me. Oh, here, I do have one left, and it's not on there. All right. I cannot remember the name of that sock set. Is that bad or what? If you go on my website, though, there is at least one still in stock, so you can definitely check that out. It's a really pretty, definitely more spring-oriented colors. So you've got like lilac and light pink, and then this really pretty kind of taupe color for the contrast color. It's a pinky taupe. It's a pink taupe. And I am working on the heel in this area here. So this is doing that expansion to get to where there's like a little heel flap type thing. It's called a Flegel heel. I think that's what it's called. Pretty sure. And yeah, so I'm kind of right here. So I'm expanding, and then I'm going to get to this color here and then do like the foot. So I really should work on that because then I'd have a whole nother complete set of socks, and it's spring colors, so I could wear it. Not that it really matters what your socks look like any time of year, but it just makes me think of spring. So I think I'm gonna work on this. I think I'll work on those, and then we'll find out this weekend whether I can work on that sweater. It is a sweater. I guess I can tell you that much. I can't tell you who designed it, can't tell you anything like that, but it is a sweater knit, which is why I definitely would want some time to make it. And it is a involved knit. I will say that. But it looks enjoyable. And I've been wanting to make another sweater like that, so I hope I get picked. You just never know. That's the hard part with test knits. You never know if you'll get picked. And but I hope I do. I'll keep you posted. If I get picked, I can tell you I got picked. I can't tell you what I got picked for, and I can't tell you whose is until it's okay to tell you. So there's that. But otherwise, I will probably be working on like probably the socks. I probably work on the socks, or for sure the half and half triangles wrap, because that one is so easy to just pick up and drop no matter what. The socks will be that way once you get to the ankle end of things and you're working up the ankle, but until I get there, it will be a little more complicated. Not terribly so, but a little more. But yeah, that's it. What are you guys up to? Are you totally in the spring mood too now? Are you starting to work on spring knits, or how do you knit? Do you knit with the season, or do you knit like in advance? Like you've already been knitting spring stuff so that it's done and ready for the summer. I find I tend to like to knit a lot of woolly things. So, I was working on this woolly sweater and I was gonna get that thing done, and I am so happy I did. I didn't think I would. I did not think I would get it done before the end of March, and I definitely did, which is very exciting. I think it's because I became obsessed with it. And then also, that was actually cold enough, hey, that I could wear my sweater. So there's that. That's kind of fun. But all right, I think I have talked your ear off enough. I hope you guys are well. I hope you are staying healthy. There's so much sickness going around these days. Oh my goodness. I'm feeling so much better. I don't have a cough anymore. Isn't that great? Yay. No more coughing. But for you, those of you that might be in the thick of the flu, if you have I think it's the type A flu, the lung oriented one, the respiratory, I really hope that you get past it soon. I will let you know that it did take me about 4 to 5 weeks to get over the cough, so hopefully you'll get over it faster. That's all I have to say about that. Hopefully you get over it faster. You have a better immune system than I do. But yeah, we're getting there, you guys. Warmer weather, less sickness because the weather. I hope. So, and I'm so excited. I put photos up of the sheep recently, and I love all your comments. It's so cute. They are so fluffy right now. It is unbelievable. I just go up and I'm rubbing them, and then I just I hug them if they let me, and they're so fluffy. I mean, they have inches of wool. I just want to shear them so bad. I cannot shear them yet though until the weather gets more moderate, because I don't want to do that. I don't want to make them sick. But it is so hard not to shear them because I want to so bad. But this weather is ridiculous. It's just so cold at night. I can't leave them without wool on them. So here we are. But yes, that is the next thing, and exciting. All right. Well, I hope you guys take care, and I will chat with you soon. Bye.